My name's Kim Tredinnick. I'm the Regional Director for the Great Lakes region of NASBA and a current member of the Wisconsin Accounting Examining Board. Yesterday when we were playing golf, one of the staff members was coming around to check to make sure who was playing and who wasn't playing, and then he had checked in everybody. And he came to our group and he saw Ralph Thomas. I was in his cart with him, and he checks off Ralph and he looks at me and he goes, "Well, obviously you're not Kim." Over time, my wife Tony and I have had a lot of fun with waitresses and other staff when they bring back our credit card slips at restaurants. It was my pleasure this year to be chair of the Audit Committee for NASBA, and a copy of our report is on page 44 of the annual report. First of all, I would like to thank committee members, Linda Hartzell from Nevada, Ken Hull from Illinois, Josh Partlow from Vermont, and Tom Prothro from Texas for their active participation on the committee during the year. In addition, I'd like to thank staff members Michael Bryant and Troy Walker for their outstanding assistance in getting the audit done in a timely and efficient manner this year. This year we had, out of the 5 members you see up there, 4 of the committee members were brand new to the audit committee, and I was brand new as the chair. And so we had a little learning curve to go through this year. The charge of the audit committee is to review the overall scope of the independent audit, oversee its process and its completion, have various meetings with the auditors and so on, and to make a recommendation to the Board of Directors of NASBA for the auditor for NASBA for the coming year. During the current year, we had 3 meetings. 2 were telephonically, and 1 was a live meeting in Nashville in September. We had a planning meeting in April, a wrap-up meeting in September, and 1 other meeting in October that I'll mention in a minute. At our April meeting, we went through it was the members of the audit committee, staff, and the auditors were present at that meeting. We discussed the overall timetable of the audit and the expectations for deliveries. Staff of NASBA brought us up to date as to what was happening and any potential changes that we could expect to see in the NASBA financial statements. We discussed the coordination of the NASBA audit with the PCS audit. For the first time, PCS was a separate entity. NASBA has its equity interest in PCS, and it was critical that the PCS information would be available on a timely basis to be incorporated into NASBA's financial statements. And finally, we heard from the auditors about their overall approach to the current year engagement. Then in September, we met in Nashville. Again, the committee members, the audit committee members, staff, and auditors were present. Staff from NASBA walked us through the changes in the most recent drafts of the financial statements. And we reviewed not only NASBA's financial statements, but the Center for Public Trust statements and the financial statements for the 401k plan of NASBA. The NASBA auditors made their required communications to those charged with governance, and then we met separately with the auditors and the audit staff, and then met separately with management of NASBA to discuss the performance of the auditors and any concerns. Finally, at the September meeting, we reviewed changes to the audit committee charter. We made a couple changes this year. One was to specifically expand the scope of the audit committee for NASBA to specifically include the Center for Public Trust and the 401k plan and any entities that might become related entities in the future. In addition, we made one other change to specifically include any other attest engagements that were completed for NASBA. And most appropriately was the Service Center Control Report, or previously known as SAS 70 report, that gets prepared and completed over the examination controls or over the IT controls surrounding the CPA exam. So those are now, that contract is specifically under the jurisdiction of the Audit Committee of NASBA. We also formalized a policy that had been informal in the past of requiring partner rotation every 5 years on the part of the audit firm. These changes were approved at the NASBA board meeting last Friday. During the year, we also executed a resolution between the Center for Public Trust trustees and the audit committee and myself as chair, officially designating the NASBA audit committee as the audit committee for the Center for Public Trust also. At the September 27th audit committee meeting, we discussed whether proposals should be obtained for audit services going forward. And at that time, we talked about the pros and cons of doing that, and we made the conclusion that 3 years ago, the audit partner had been rotated, and we decided to let that audit partner go through the 5-year rotation before we went out and obtained presentation or quotations for audit services in the future. So rather than getting proposals, we asked the audit firm to do a presentation to the audit committee because 4 of the 5 committee members were new about the qualifications of the current audit firm. So on October 12th, the audit firm made a presentation to the audit committee outlining the firm's size, its locations, its structure, its organization, its abilities in the not-for-profit arena, how the firm is organized around the not-for-profit area as one of its expertise areas of specialization. We went and discussed the not-for-profit experience at the partner level of the firm. We talked about firm involvement in the profession, and finally we looked at the firm's results of external monitoring procedures, the PCOB report, and their most recent peer review report. After that, the audit committee made a recommendation to forward to the NASBA Board of Directors that we re-engage Lattimore, Black, Morgan, and Kane to audit the financial statements of NASBA for the year ended July 31st, 2013, and the NASBA Board of Directors accepted that resolution at our meeting on last Friday. So again, I'd like to thank my committee members and the NASBA staff. We truly do have a great staff that oversees the financial operations of NASBA. Thank them for all the work during the year. And Chair Harris, that completes my report for the Audit Committee.